Hi and welcome to today's video in which I have an update for my rolling project pan to use 14 items in 2024. So I'll start off with the first item to hand, and that is my fragrance by Balmain Extatique, and I use this of an evening so I am able to use other fragrances in the day. In January it was there, so I've made steady progress. The biggest jump has been this month. I think because I've had an extra week, I'm a bit late in doing this video, and I've got a couple of months left, but it's a lovely fresh spring type floral. It is discontinued but still available online, but not from Balmain. And then I have my hair product, and this is a slickening oil, dimethicone. It says oil, but it's an oil and dimethicone mix, and I use a couple of pumps whenever I wash my hair. It goes onto the damp hair, and I do use it with other products. I layer them separately, and I do enjoy using that. Now, it started off up there in January. It's just regular, very slight use, and I'm not sure why, because you do get quite a lot per pump. So anyway, like I say, it's being used. I use it all the time because I like to, if I get an oil on there for the hair, or a dimethicone type, which is more dimethicone than oil, I like to start and finish the same container rather than having loads open. The next item I have is IT Cosmetics CC Cream. Now, it didn't have very much going in January. It was 37 gram. I've used it a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's now 32 gram. So last time, I think I've used about 2 gram since the last update, and that's because I've been focusing on the next item, which is Glow Foundation from Primark. I think actually, I wasn't sure last month what it was. I think the shape of it is like one of the Armani Glow Foundations. So I think it's a bit of a dupe. I'm not sure how close of a dupe it is because I've not tried the Armani one, because the shades are very orange. They're not favourable to a very cool toned skin. They tend to be either one very orange or very yellow, and I need either a very neutral or slightly grey tone beige, or a pink tone that's very pale. So I've not been able to use that. On same with this one, this only has around 8 shades. And in the very pale colour, they use a lot of white powder pigments, such as talc, mica and titanium dioxide, because it's got SPF 30. So what tends to happen is it tends to give a very white cast, and with the amount of pigments to get it white, it tends to be quite drying. Now, I would imagine in this range, if you went up to the medium to darker shades, it would actually glow. But I think because it's got so much powder in, along with the SPF, it's very mattifying in this shade. So what I need to do is to put it in a palette, add a few drops in the pipette, and then I would add face oil as well, a couple of drops of face oil. Not a like to like match, mainly this with a couple of drops of face oil. Mix it up, and I put it on with a damp beauty blender on top of my skincare, which, sometimes it may be more water based, but mainly oil based. So it doesn't have a reaction in whatever, it lays down very well whatever the skincare is, even on top of sunscreen. But I think part of the problem is that when it has so many micas, it can reflect it as it is now. I've got it on my face now, and it can bounce back, and although it's quite matte, it can sit into wrinkles, but also it can give quite an ethereal, not necessarily an unearthly sort of glare, so it can look a bit off in terms of its shading, a bit too white, but in real life, without the heavy lights, it is a good match for the skin tone. But that's not always what I want. As I'm getting older, I don't want dry things settling into the skin, which this does. I prefer something with a bit more tone, a bit more colour, that I think is less draining on my skin, particularly with my fairly fair hair. But like I say, I'm able to get it to work. It's gone from 107 gram to 93 gram. I think it's about halfway used, in all honesty. I might have another month, maybe a little bit more to use, but I'm able to make it work. But I prefer to have foundations that aren't hard work. The next item here is, I'll pick this one up, is from Charlotte Tilbury, and it is a balm. It's discontinued, and I have been using it regularly each month to try and flatten the top. So it hasn't had a lot of wear on the main bullet. Yeah, it's just a tiny bit each month. And I try and use it. I keep it at home and use it of an evening. So I have made regular progress, there it is, with this item. Then I have from Illamasqua my setting spray, and it is a true setting spray. It's hydrating. I'm not going to say that it leaves your skin dewy, but it's not as drying as some others. I've got a little bit left, not much. I think it's below the blue line, so I don't know how much more I've got. And often when they get to the very end, they can splatter out a bit, but it's working well, the sprayer, at the moment, so I'm pleased to still have that. So it went from 85.5 gram to 35 gram, but it was probably half full, maybe a little less when it was rolled into this project anyway. Then I have a couple of items together in a little bento type box, and this is Wonder Beauty Double Date Eyeshadow Duo, and it, in the lower compact, it has a bronze cream. It doesn't really set down or dry very well, so even when you put the topper on, it doesn't set down, and it is prone to creasing. That said, I'm very pleased with the progress, because I have hit pan, albeit by focusing on the centre part, that is the ring, and I have hit pan also in the top ring, that's all exposed, and I use a small brush there. And unfortunately, although I didn't drop it, it has broken, and I think it's from repeated opening and shutting. And the problem is, with this sort of acrylic, it is known to be brittle. That's in its nature. If you get black plastic or an opaque plastic that's acrylic, it does tend to last longer than whatever they use to make it clear. So what I'm going to do is roll this out, and I'm not going to use this anymore. I'm going to take it out of my collection and declutter it. It was fine, but I don't particularly like fiddling with broken tops. And I don't love it enough to try and decant it into another container. I'm just going to call that a day. I think it would be better suited also for people with a warmer skin tone than me, and also perhaps medium to darker skin tone, because both items in there are quite pigmented. So in its place, I'm going to be putting in a Clinique Quad. It's unnamed. It was a gift with purchase. I've had it a few years, and when it came out, it was when Too Faced did the peach palette, from what I can recollect. So there's a bronze. It looks a bit green, but it's a bronze, slightly metallic bronze, a sparkly peach, an oyster shade that's got a shimmer, and a sateen. It looks a bit like a buttermilk, but it's actually got a bit of hint of pink in, and that's a sateen. So it's had quite a bit of use on, and I want to use that up, and I want to hit pan there. So they're the two I'm going to focus on, but I want to try and use the palette because I've had it a number of years. And what I will say, Clinique are one of my favourite brands in terms of eyeshadow, because I find them not too pigmented and not underpigmented. It just hits my sweet spot, but it's buildable, and it's blendable, and it doesn't muddy. They don't muddy their shadows. So it's one that, because of its age, and it is a gift with purchase, I want to use that up. I do have other Clinique ones in my collection, and I will buy more in the future, I'm sure. Then I'm looking down, I think the next item I've got here is a nail polish by Barry M in Enchanted. So that's, I think you can only just see that's just roughly there. So that was last time, that's this time, and yeah, I think I've probably got another month, and then it should be rolled out, unless something happens and I don't manage to complete it all up. But I think this is a bit of an autumnal shade, not quite right for this time of year, but it's raining at the moment, and April is the month of showers in the UK, so hopefully I can get this finished and then on to more spring type tones. The next item I've got is my lipstick, which is Firebird Urban Decay. This is the Gwen Stefani packaging. It's no longer available. It was deleted when they put in the new packaging a number of years ago, the current packaging, I should say, a few years ago. So that's where it's up to. So it's a magenta with a blue twist, and that's it there. So it is, you can have it sheer or you can build it up because the base is satin, but there is a bit of glitter in, but it's not chunky. So I do love this. So it's had quite a lot of use this month. I've used it sometimes in the day and also when I've been going out, and I've reapplied it. So that's where it started and that's where it is, because I actually put the items, I line them up at the bottom of this page and turn it to the side. So I'm hoping in a few months that will be finished. So the next items, if I'm right, I'm trying to find out, there's one that's hiding from me. It is the Eyeko eyeliner, which I've got on today. And because I've got the pink, I've got this set of eyeshadows, it's providing a better contrast because I've got a paler eyeshadow on the lid. So you can actually see the tone of this. So it is very buttery. And I will say that I've used about 3/4 of an inch this since January. And that's all that's left. So I've probably got a couple of months, I would say, and then I can roll it out. But it has been a constant for many months because I did have it in last year's project pan towards the end. And then I've got the final 3 items. The first one is HD Brows Look Fantastic. This was a Christmas, within a Christmas box that Look Fantastic had. And this is, the pan's widened on this blush. Now what I will say, it is mattish, but there is some slight pearlescence to it. I wouldn't say it's too pearlescent, it comes off quite fairly matte, but it is quite an orange toned peach. I'd say there's a bit of more of a bright luminous pink element to it in real life, but at least you can see that it is orangey in tone as well. And this is the only, and it is my favourite blusher. So it's one that I've got it on today. You can see it there. And I do use it all the time that I wear makeup. And then the final 2 items. This is, and I've had quite a lot of progress on this. This is my contour. It's a cream. And I can hardly get either a brush or my sponge into there. So what I'm going to be doing after this is pushing, is getting that blade in, pushing it and bringing it all to one side and making it one even line, I think. So it'll be probably about 1/3 of this, of this brick, if you know what I mean. So I should be doing that after this video. And then the final item, which is on this side, is my highlighter. And it's difficult to show, but there is showing a bit of a dip there. It is dipped in the middle. Perhaps 1/4 of it has been used, I would say, which isn't a lot, but we might be on plan to finish up this year. The only concern I have, it's so powdery because of its age. It could also have been powdery to start with because I didn't use this. I've had it for some years now. I think it's going to disintegrate because it is really, really powdery. And I don't know against my skin if you're going to really see what it's like. There it is. So it does look very nice. It's got micro shimmers in, but very, very powdery. So in order to take the powderiness off, when I've put it on there and on there, I then put this on and then a glow spray on top to actually get it to meld as best as I can. So anyway, I think they're all the items, all 14 items. And let's see what progress I can make in the next month or thereabouts. But can I say thank you very much for watching, as I do appreciate that your time is valuable. Hopefully I shall see you soon in another video. Otherwise, please take care and bye for now.